Introduction. Within the first few years as a personal trainer, I realized helping clients achieve a healthy lifestyle would take more than simply teaching them how to exercise properly. My reason for writing this book, as well as expanding my certifications and knowledge to include other avenues of focus such as life coaching, holistic nutrition, and hypnotherapy, is that after over 20 years of personal training and health coaching, I have come to some important realizations. These realizations will be at the core of everything shared in this book. I have seen these principles impact not just the hundreds of clients I have helped over the years, but also my own life. As my family has grown, as jobs or roles change in either my wife's or my own employment, and especially in my own health obstacles. I was crushed when I received my diagnosis of degenerative disc disease at the age of 26. Instead of getting a quick fix resolution to the pain severely limiting my activity, I instead faced having to readjust many of my routines and habits. Keeping a healthy lifestyle has not always been easy because of this. I have had some dark times with periods of inactivity and poor nutrition choices so long that I'm often too embarrassed to admit it. I've had to start from square one with my own workouts and often develop different ways to train and implement better food choices to keep my own health and fitness going. This is why consistent persistence is at the center of everything I teach my clients. No matter how long it's been, or even if you've never truly started, if you choose now to be consistently persistent in the pursuit of improving your health and fitness, you will see changes and ultimately achieve your goals using these principles. It's easy to get into the mindset that it is beyond your control because up to this point, every program or diet you have tried has been so restrictive or time-consuming that, though you may have seen great initial results, continuing with it was unrealistic. My goal for you is to build sustainable habits that you can keep long-term as a lifestyle. So the first realization and most important core principle is, in order to achieve change in one's life, whatever area that may be, the individual must want to be healthier, want to make healthier choices, and be willing to take responsibility for one's own behavior and decisions. What this means is that you have to be willing to take responsibility for what you are doing and accept that many previous choices and habits are not contributing to better health. Therefore, there are no excuses. I know everyone will have challenges or obstacles to face on their path to better health. However, if better health is truly something you want in your life, you have to be willing to adapt and adjust. If your work schedule changes, kids' activities come up, or whatever else happens in life, they are not excuses to give up and stop what is working in your pursuit of that healthier lifestyle. I say this because time and again, I have seen many people with similar situations, as well as similar goals, and the ones who achieve success are the ones who rise above the challenges and find a way to make things work, while the others remain attached to their stories of why they can't get there yet. If you are not ready to take complete responsibility for your health and the changes needed to improve it, this book is not for you. The remaining lessons and principles in this book are all based on you taking personal responsibility and action to create the changes you want to see in life. You are welcome to wait until you are ready, perhaps share this book with a loved one or friend, or even continue reading for the information. Just remember that the change is all up to you. No one can do it for you. The second core principle is no more dieting or exercise programs. The emphasis here is on diets and programs. The problem with diets and other programs is that when we initiate these, we tend to start them with the mindset that this is only a temporary thing. We tell ourselves, I'll do this diet to lose weight for the wedding, or this workout program will get me looking good for swimsuit season. Yes, these programs will most likely help us achieve deadline goals for special events, but they don't teach and prepare us to incorporate healthy nutrition and exercise into our lifestyle to be sustained on an ongoing basis. The key is the difference between achieving a healthy weight and staying there versus shedding a ton of pounds in a short period of time and then gradually gaining it back after the program is done. Because if the only two ways you know are the habits that got you to a point you don't like, or a program that does get the weight off, but you hate it, You only have one choice at the end of the program. The lessons in this book will be geared toward how to effectively implement healthier habits of nutrition and exercise into your lifestyle. The third and final core principle is letting go of that number on the scale and redefining health and success. What I mean by this is to quit stressing about what the scale says about where your weight is or isn't currently at this moment in time. All too often, I have seen clients who have made great changes in their lifestyle habits and are feeling great about how they look and feel, just to be in tears when they weigh in for measurements. Most of us make changes in our lives for weight loss because of how we look and how we feel, or just to be healthier, not because of a number on a measuring device. It is important to understand that the scale is just a measuring tool. For our clients, the scale is one of many measurements we use to track and assess progress. The number that this tool provides is one unit of data out of many taken by health professionals to assess your overall health and body composition. As an example, body weight is used to assess the dosage for many medications, such as anesthetics. What the scale says is not the end-all measurement of health. Now is the time to start listening to your body and how you are feeling to be the indicator of success and stop letting an inanimate tool dictate how you feel about yourself. If you feel ready to accept and commit to these 3 core principles, then I congratulate you on your willingness to step out of the shell of restriction that has been holding you back. Now, let's begin your transformation with lifestyle performance training. Our attitude and what we tell ourselves. Before we embark on changing our daily routines, the first and most important change we need to discuss is self-talk and attitude. Oftentimes, when I check in with a client about their progress since our last session together, the first thing they usually report is the 1 or 2 things they feel they did wrong. They completely ignore what they did right. Whenever we are making changes in our lives, it is important to celebrate our successes and learn from what went wrong. While I recognize the need to be aware of what missteps and challenges someone has had that ended badly, if you only ever focus on the bad, you will end up overly frustrated, stressed, and often quit pursuing your goals. So take the time each day to recognize what you have done right in moving towards your goal. Even small changes like having a smaller portion of your favorite food at the potluck, or fitting in a 10-minute walk between when your child had to be at school for rehearsal and when the concert starts, the small victories add up just as much, if not more than, the defeats, but only if you give yourself credit for them. If missteps and challenges do arise that cause us trouble, remember that there's no such thing as failure, only learning opportunities. Failure can only occur if you fail to learn so you can be successful next time, or if you stop your pursuit completely. Learn from the missteps and challenges and keep moving forward. This is what I mean when I say consistent persistence. There will always be roadblocks and obstacles in the pursuit of any goal. What truly matters is that you never let these stop you from your pursuit. Taking consistent steps towards your goal is what will ultimately get you there and help you to keep it, no matter how many detours it takes to get there. Another important component of mindset is, what are you telling yourself? Throughout the day, we have multiple conversations with ourselves on a variety of topics. It is important that these mental talks with yourself are more like an uplifting pep talk rather than put down after put down. You can easily identify if what you are saying is more of a put down by asking yourself, would I be okay with someone else saying this about me? The key here is accepting it versus being okay with it. Many of us have been putting ourselves down for so long that when we hear it from others, we accept it. But that doesn't mean we're okay with it. You can get very used to accepting negativity while still feeling crushed by it each and every time you hear it said. There are many supporting theories, such as the law of attraction or self-fulfilling prophecy, that show what we tell ourselves the most has a tendency to come forth in our lives. Stop and think about whether you spend the majority of your day telling yourself negative things like, I'm fat, I'm not worth it, I'll never be able to do something like that. If you do, you will carry and present yourself to others so that they see the same things you are telling yourself. Our thoughts end up influencing other people's perceptions of us, causing the way they treat us to reflect those perceptions. This then comes full circle because now we have evidence from other people's behavior towards us that what we have been telling ourselves must be true. Now is the time to take control by changing the way we talk to ourselves. After all, if someone else was speaking to you that negatively on a regular basis, you would probably stop associating with them, right? A common mistake that many people make when working to reverse negative self-talk to positive is focusing on what we don't want rather than what we do want. For example, I won't be nervous and miss out on what I want. I don't want to feel worthless. I won't make unhealthy choices today. The problem is still focusing on the things we don't want anymore. Instead, shift to what it is you do want to be or do. By keeping a positive focus, your self-talk will have much more power. If there are things you wished people told you more often, then start telling yourself those things. Now, I realize that letting go of a lifetime of self-doubting is not going to happen overnight. Regardless of how other people treat you, you are still in control of what you say to yourself. What I recommend working on throughout the day is, anytime you find yourself in a cycle of put-downs, immediately find something supportive and positive to tell yourself. This is called positive affirmation. A positive affirmation is a short statement that you can tell yourself with a positive belief. Some examples would be, I am confident and successful in everything I do. I am worthy of being happy in life. I am healthier every day. It is important to personalize your affirmation not only to something that you desire, but you must also believe it to be true. An affirmation doesn't work if you immediately follow it up with negative self-talk. Also, affirmations should be said in the present tense as if you already are those things. The affirmation is just there to remind you. Phrasing an affirmation in the future tense diminishes you in the here and now. Affirmations are a great thing to use at the start of the day to put a positive intention on your day. Also, you can use affirmations during important parts of your day, such as times of stress, confrontations, or just moments when you know you will be challenged to make a healthier decision. You can take some of your affirmations a step further by putting them in places where you can see them to keep positive self-talk at the front of your mind. These places can be on your bathroom mirror, your fridge, car dash, the lock screen or home screen of your cell phone, or at your desk or workstation. The more you see and say these messages to yourself, the more they will take root in your mind and start replacing the negativity. 2 other ideas involve the use of journaling. The first is a thankfulness journal. This is typically used at the end of the day as a moment of reflection on what you are thankful for that happened in your day. The goal of this is to shift your focus from all the bad and negative things and take the time to recognize all the great things that happened today. It's okay to acknowledge things that went wrong or were just plain bad, but dwelling on the negatives can often keep our focus on those negatives. This is called frequency illusion, more commonly known as the blue car theory. The blue car theory is when you or someone you know buys a blue car, and suddenly everywhere you go, all you see are blue cars. Our mind automatically seeks whatever we put our attention on. So, when things don't go how you would have liked, take a moment to double check your perspective. Are you only focusing on the negative angle? Is there anything positive about the experience? If it truly was something bad, identify what you can learn from it, so you can improve and be ready for the next time a similar situation arises, and move on. The second journal is what I call an awesomeness journal. This can be used at any time of the day. The focus of this journal is to take the time to recognize what it is that makes you so awesome. And it is a great way to turbo boost your morning with some positive energy. Whatever tool you use, and feel free to use as many as you like, remember that the focus of these tools is to keep you in a positive, uplifting mode of communication with yourself and to eliminate the put-downs that keep us from achieving our dreams in life. Believing in yourself and your abilities is the key to success in any life endeavor. This is what will empower you to rise above the challenges and obstacles that come up in your pursuits. Also, this allows you to put a deaf ear to any naysayers who try to stop your journey. Remember, you and only you have the biggest investment and strongest impact on what choices you make in life and how they affect you. The meaning of our words. I would like to take a moment now to discuss language and the difference between a word's definition meaning versus what our subconscious meaning is telling us. Much like the importance of positive self-talk and its impact on our attitudes and intentions, the words we use and the meanings behind them can have a similar impact. My favorite word on this subject is try. The definition of try is to make an effort. What this doesn't say is to succeed, to accomplish a goal, or to rise above a challenge. Often, I hear clients tell me they will try to do something as their goal, and more often than not, if I don't work on changing their wording for their intention towards their goal, what they will tell me next time I meet with them is that they tried to achieve their goal, followed by a but. This but is the reason or excuse for not actually achieving their goal. For example, I tried to exercise 3 days this week, but I couldn't make it to the gym on Wednesday because of traffic. The key issue is the subconscious effect that the initial intention of the words we use when setting our goals has on us. When someone says that they are going to try to do something, they are telling both themselves and others that they are going to make an effort towards this goal, but something is most likely going to get in the way and keep them from doing it. However, when we state a goal, I am going to do this, we are telling ourselves and others that I am going to achieve this and overcome whatever obstacles that may get in the way. After all, Yoda said it best, do or do not, there is no try. Another key word I hear when people are facing challenges is can't. Whenever you find yourself using I can't to explain why you are not doing something, I invite you to take a moment and ask yourself, is it really can't or is it won't? The word can, used in can't, refers to having the ability to do something. The word will is the root of won't, which refers to the determination to bring about. So when we say that we can't do something, i.e. exercise, are we saying that we lack the ability to exercise? Or do we really mean we lack the determination to make it happen? Remember, the difference between achieving results and missing your goal often comes down to overcoming or being overcome by the challenges in your life. The debate between can't versus won't leads us to another big word when it comes to creating lifestyle changes: motivation. Motivation is defined as the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. While motivation has to be intrinsic for you to make changes in your life, motivation is still one of the 5 primary reasons I've found that people hire a personal trainer. This is because motivation ties into 2 other key behavior factors: accountability and procrastination. Accountability involves following up on goals we set for ourselves when we felt motivated. Unfortunately, there will be times when that motivation can flounder, whether it be temptations for unhealthy eating or that desire to spend your time anywhere other than the gym. Accountability goes a long way in helping to keep that spark of motivation ablaze. It's much easier to decline that extra serving or keep that gym appointment when you have an external accountability source. This doesn't matter if it's just a friend working as an accountability partner or a full professional. Having that regular check-in can be the difference maker in achieving that goal. Procrastination can be a death sentence to motivation. Be honest. How many times have you put off starting a workout routine or nutrition change by saying, I'll start it Monday, just to have something come up that allows you to justify telling yourself again, I'll start it next week. Eventually, you realize it's already been a year of next weeks. No one is immune to procrastination. For example, in full honesty, my first draft of this book was made 8 years ago. When discussing motivation and procrastination, I often think about an interview clip I came across years ago from the Steve Harvey Show interviewing Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas made the comment that he doesn't believe in procrastination. He explained that things are either important to you or they're not, and that level of importance dictates whether it's a priority for you to commit time for it. While his comments were in response to a student struggling with procrastinating schoolwork, I see this all the time when prospective clients come in for help. So many of us put off making changes to our eating and activity until we have a bad appointment with the doctor. Cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, and other health issues are a factor of excess body fat storage due primarily to poor diets and inactivity. However, even knowing this, too many put off increasing their activity and making healthier nutrition choices until that bad test result comes back. Now it takes priority because your life literally depends on it. Unfortunately, once things have gotten to this point, more drastic nutrition and exercise changes are needed. Whereas if you make the choice to be healthier now, less drastic changes are needed simply because it's a lot easier to maintain health than it is to get it back. Another factor of motivation and keeping it is momentum. Most people recognize momentum as a physical force. However, very few recognize momentum as a mental force as well. You may be familiar with Newton's law of physics, which states that an object will stay at rest or in motion unless acted upon by a greater outside force. Mental momentum can be viewed as an internal force in these terms, where the object is you. When it comes to creating changes in our lives or simply pushing ourselves to reach new peaks in performance, our mental momentum is the key to being successful. If you've ever had the desire to do something but told yourself multiple reasons why it won't work, then you know about mental momentum. It is a force that can either keep us in place and stop us from moving forward, or it can drive us to accomplish bigger and better things. The key is getting your mental momentum to work for you. Focusing on positive self-talk rather than negative put-downs is one way. Instead of concentrating on why you can't or won't do something, identify something small that you can do and the benefits of doing it. When it comes to performance, visualize yourself being successful instead of failing. We often suffer from paralysis by analysis, letting our minds spin out of control with all the ways things could go wrong. Remember, if you can't see yourself doing it, you can't expect to be successful. Start with small changes if big changes seem daunting. One positive thought about yourself is great when all you've been telling yourself has been negative up to this point. A 5-minute walk is better than none at all. Changing one part of a meal each week to be healthier is still a start. Identify at least one good thing per day instead of dwelling on the bad. The smallest step towards self-improvement is still better than staying the same. Shifting your focus to the positive is the first step to building healthy habits. This is why the words we use matter so much. Our perceptions and their impact. An important factor that often impacts the words we use is the way we perceive the events that happen in our lives. All events are inherently neutral. It isn't until we assign them a label as positive or negative based upon our values and past experiences that they then gain a charge. For a basic example, in any given sport competition, there is a winner and a loser. Whether this is a good or bad thing depends upon which team you're rooting for. In reality, it's just a game. But if your team is the winner, it's exhilarating. However, if your team is the loser, it's disappointing. This shows that everything is about perspective. So, in day-to-day circumstances like traffic, the weather, computer issues, etc., all of these are still neutral and do not require a strong emotional reaction. What is needed is a more controlled and mitigated chosen response. If you go throughout your day continually reacting with harsh emotions to the events that occur, it is easy to end up stressed, frustrated, and emotionally spent. Instead of running on an emotionally reactive autopilot, which often results in a crash landing, Try making a conscious choice in what your response really needs to be in each situation. The key thing to identify in every event is, will this have any further need of my attention or greater impact on my life? Things like traffic delays, getting cut off, or someone not responding when you say hi in passing do not require you to remain emotionally attached to it for the rest of the day. Anyone who has recapped a story to someone at the end of the day about what happened during their morning commute knows this attachment. When you find yourself in the same level of emotional agitation with retelling as when it actually happened, you are emotionally attached to the event. In perspective, while you may bring up someone cutting you off on your way to work if someone asks shortly after you get to work, you probably wouldn't bring it up when you asked after you got home. So it is important to ask yourself whether what happened will be important 5 hours from now. If the answer is no, release it and quit dwelling on it, because any of these attachments, good or bad, has the potential to act as either a steel chain or lead jacket, slowing our ability to move forward and actually keeping us tied in one place, going in circles, repeating the same process, and creating more attachments that bind and restrict us even more. Now is the time to break the chains, remove those heavy burdens, and start to move forward in your life. This change, much like all others discussed, is a process. Don't expect to be an overnight success. This could result in even more frustration and attachment. The idea is to be able to accept the event as neutral and move on right when it occurs, when you make that consciously chosen response. However, even if you realize later that you made an emotional attachment with your reaction, you can then, in that new moment of realization, make a new chosen response to let go and move forward. Now, I am not saying that there are not going to be some circumstances where even your chosen response wants to be emotional. Things such as breakups, getting married, the loss of a loved one, or the birth of a new child are all major emotional events in life. However, many of the events that are deemed negative or bad have a very high potential of becoming another emotional chain that holds us back and keeps us from moving forward. Think about it. How many times has a new diet or exercise plan been derailed because we fell back into unhealthy snacking and stress eating, staying stuck to the couch numbly watching television or doom scrolling through our phones because something bad happened and we let our emotions get the best of us? Then even when some of the emotional fog starts to clear and we realize how far we backslid, our self-talk, fertilized by those fresh negative emotions, tries to keep us tied to our unwanted behaviors. See, I'll always be fat because this is who I am. No point in starting again, I'll just find another reason to quit anyways. And many of the other negative thoughts weighing us down and keeping us from making the changes we want and deserve. While it is a process to go through the release or grieving process for many things, the ultimate goal is to be able to accept and move forward. If you find yourself tied down and stuck because of these negative thoughts and emotions that never seem to go away, I strongly encourage you to seek additional help, either with support groups, life coaching, or counseling. Most employers have an employee assistance program, EAP, that can provide you with a list of preferred counselors or therapists in your area. Mental health is just as important as physical health, if not more so, as mental health can often lead to damaging habits and behaviors that impact your physical health. There is nothing wrong with seeking help for your mental well-being. After all, if you had a leg that continually walked backward every time you wanted to walk forward, you would see a doctor or physical therapist for help, right? My reason for addressing this is because often our previous attempts at a healthier lifestyle have been unsuccessful. When you stay attached to these failures, that is what you will most likely repeat for yourself. Instead, view these attempts as just that, attempts that were unsuccessful, but lessons were learned from them. Take a moment to identify what obstacles or challenges were the cause of failure. The next step is to make a plan on how you can overcome these obstacles or challenges if they come up again. Now, instead of a failure, you have had a learning opportunity that will allow you to be more prepared in the future to achieve your ultimate success. Goal setting. Now, let's talk about goal setting. When setting goals for ourselves, a helpful tool is to follow the SMART: specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, relevant, time-based format. Specific goals make it easier to identify exactly what the plan needs to be in order to be successful. For example, I am going to walk 2 days per week, or I am going to add a serving of vegetables with each dinner. Measurable goals allow us to see whether or not we have achieved the goal. This can be done with a certain amount of time, i.e., 20 minutes, or a certain number of times per week. Any unit of measurement that allows you to see where you stand in reference to your goal is just fine. It is important to set goals that you can attain and achieve. For example, setting a weight loss goal for a weight you haven't been since childhood may not be attainable. Relevant goals are also important so that we are not focused on pursuits that will distract us from our bigger pursuits. Setting goals that we have no possible way of achieving or setting an unrealistic time frame can lead to frustration, demotivation, and ultimately giving up. Time-based goals are important because they keep us accountable to when we start and when we want the goal completed. Without this setup, one could be continuously trying to exercise more, never knowing when he will have achieved this or putting it off as there is no deadline. When setting goals, it is okay to have really big goals, such as the ones already mentioned for exercise and nutrition, but it is important to use smaller incremental goals to help you get there. Breaking big goals into these smaller goals makes it easier to see developing progress and build motivation with each successful accomplishment. On another note with goal setting, you need to look at the difference between outcome goals and process goals. Most commonly, we see outcome goals used, such as winning a game, achieving a specific weight, or decreasing your time to run or walk 1 mile. These goals often lead to frustration or lack of achievement because they are results of other behavior and not something we have direct control over. Process goals, on the other hand, focus on our behaviors and choices, such as skills practiced in a sport to be a better athlete, nutrition and exercise changes to achieve better health, or a regular running program to increase speed and stamina. As you can see, most of these goals will have the desired impact on the previous goals. However, process goals put the focus on what you choose to do in your life, giving you better control over the outcomes and a greater chance to be successful with your goal. The other benefit of focusing on process goals instead of outcome only is that obsessing over outcome only goals can lead to a by whatever means necessary mindset that can be very hazardous. This can lead to extreme diets and exercise programs that will help you lose weight very quickly, yet leave you with no sustainable habits to be able to continue with, making it hard to maintain the results. Also, an outcome-only focus can destroy motivation very easily. By only focusing on something like your weight on the scale, you can feel defeated and miss the fact that you're eating the healthiest you ever have, exercising regularly, and actually have muscle tone for the first time in years. Another important thing to remember when pursuing your goals is life happens. There are going to be times in your life when circumstances or events come up that may make it more difficult to achieve your goal. The first thing to assess will be, is this a temporary event or a more permanent life change? If it is a temporary event, it may be better to write it out and pick up the goal on the other side while maintaining as much of your progress as possible. If it is a more permanent change, then a reassessment of your goal will be needed so you will still be able to move forward and keep your motivation rather than giving up. Making exercise a lifestyle. Now that you have realized your greatness and that you are worthy of having a fit and healthy lifestyle and body, let's take a look at fitness and exercise. This section is meant to discuss the implementation of an exercise goal, not set up an individual plan for you. If you are looking for more specific information on program design, check out our online programs at www.johnwinters.fitness for a customized plan. My reason for not including an exercise guide is that exercise is better defined as any form of strenuous and continuous activity done for prolonged periods of time on a regular basis. A lot of people either don't like it or don't have access to a gym. So, for the remainder of this section, if going to a gym isn't on your list of activities, I invite you to let go of the belief that only working out at a gym will make you healthy. Improving your fitness and health is really just a matter of moving more on a regular basis. For most, this involves going to a gym. However, walking, playing a favorite sport, running around playing with your kids, and more can all help put you on a path to improved health and wellness. I emphasize regular exercise and activity as a part of a healthy lifestyle because of the impact it has been shown to have on delaying the onset of comorbidities. Comorbidity means having more than one illness, disease, or medical condition at once. Some common comorbidities include diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure or hypertension, high cholesterol, and obesity. While advances in medicine have extended life expectancy, the age where the development of these comorbidities start has either remained the same or, especially in younger generations, has started to come drastically earlier to the point where our children are facing a shorter life expectancy than our parents. Making exercise and activity a regular part of your lifestyle has been shown to be one of the most commonly seen habits in those over 60 with a reduced rate of comorbidities. The other benefit of exercise that helps with healthy aging is the maintenance of stability, balance, and mobility. Tripping and falling is a serious health risk for the elderly. Regular exercise causes the body to maintain muscle strength and movement coordination as we age. This will allow you to be able to do and enjoy more things in life once you get to retirement, while maintaining your independence much longer by being able to get around safely by yourself. In addition, more research is showing that staying active has a positive impact on mental cognitive function as well. The increase in circulation and better development of red blood cells caused by regular exercise is believed to be the primary reason why this is seen. In regards to activity, this is something where you are moving instead of lounging, but is not intense enough to fulfill our 3 expectations of exercise: increased heart rate, increased breathing, and sweating. This can be something basic, like standing versus sitting, or a lot of the chores we do around the house. Implementing additional activity into your lifestyle to complement your exercise is important because it reduces the amount of sedentary time in your day. A reduction of sedentary time each day helps to burn more fat and calories as well as keep your metabolism boosted. This is especially important for anyone required to be sedentary all day at work. Break up the time sitting at your desk by taking a short walk around the office or doing some stretches. The more you can break up long periods of sitting, the better. Think about your day-to-day demands and what truly requires you to be at your desk and how you could be more mobile while doing them. For example, taking a walk during a conference call, going to talk to someone face-to-face instead of an email, etc. Remember, the longer your body stays immobile, the slower everything gets. This makes it more difficult to maintain a healthy body composition. Regarding the type of exercise you choose, while any form of activity is better than none at all, I would like to make sure you understand what you primarily get out of each type of exercise. Cardiovascular exercise, or cardio as most people call it now, is great for increasing stamina and maintaining and developing better balance and coordination. And much as the name sounds, it does this by driving improvement in your cardiorespiratory system, from improvement in lung capacity, functionality, and transfer of oxygen to the blood cells, the number of blood cells and their effectiveness at taking oxygen from the lungs is increased, along with the ability your blood cells have to hold oxygen and train your heart for more effective blood pumping and heart rate response in recovery to physical exertion. While cardio can burn a lot of calories in a short amount of time, metabolically, your body recovers and returns back to normal very quickly. Strength training is the other primary form of exercise. Strength training is where your muscles are overcoming an external load. This load can be body weight or additional weights added with free weights or other objects or machines. Like the name sounds, the main impact of this training is to increase your strength. However, the strength improvements are not just muscular. Proper strength training will help to not only make stabilizing muscles stronger, but the connective ligaments and tendons will be able to withstand external loading better. This is why most physical therapy rehabilitation involves strength training exercises. Strength training is where load bearing comes into play for increasing bone density to prevent osteoporosis. Beyond increasing strength, maintaining and adding muscle mass is the other primary benefit of strength training. Now, I know most of you listening to this are not looking to compete in a strongman competition or be the next bodybuilding champion. It is important to understand that muscle tissue is the main way we can directly impact your metabolism. This is done in two ways. First, 1 pound of muscle has an average impact of 50 calories per day on your resting metabolism. Whether this goes up or down is your choice. Consider that on average, after the age of 25, adults can lose 10% of their muscle mass per decade. This is primarily due to inactivity. How many people over 40 have you heard complain about their metabolism slowing down? Metabolisms slow down because we slow down. Muscle tissue takes a lot to maintain, and if your body isn't given a reason to keep it, it gets rid of it. For clients that aren't looking for massive muscle gains, I still prepare and explain to them to expect 5 to 10 pounds of muscle gain. This can bump your metabolism up an average of 250 to 500 calories a day. In addition, most clients that are looking to lose weight are also looking to see more tone and less flab. Muscle is what helps shape and tone your body the way you want it to look. Muscle is much denser than fat tissue. This means that 1 pound of fat takes up much more space than 1 pound of muscle. Think about the difference in size between 1 pound of bricks versus 1 pound of feathers. So when someone loses 15 to 20 pounds of body fat while adding 5 pounds of muscle, the scale will only show a 10 to 15 pound difference, but their physical appearance can be drastically different. For weight loss and sculpting, cardio is our jackhammer, and strength training our artists' fine chisels to bring out the shape we want. The second metabolic impact from strength training is the afterburn effect. When strength training is done at the right intensity for you, your body will be more metabolically active for the next 24 to 48 hours. These two metabolic boosts are why strength training should be a vital part of any weight loss or body fat reduction pursuit. Add to this the challenge of attempting to lose weight with just a diet, or diet with only cardio. Up to half the weight you lose can come from muscle mass instead of fat. This leaves you with a metabolism lower than when you started, and, more often than not, a loathing for whatever diet you were following and no desire to continue it. Plus, it leaves you with the habits you had before while slowly regaining the weight back with a few more friends added to it. For my clients, because of the metabolic boost we achieve with their workouts, they only have a nutritional calorie deficit of 150 to 250 calories per day from their maintenance, the rest coming from their workouts and afterburn. To quote one client, "I never pay attention to what I eat during the holidays, but while working with you, this was the first Christmas I didn't put on 20 pounds. Strength training done right only has to take 20 to 30 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week, ideally with a day or two in between. This will grant a huge payoff on the time investment. Other days would be the best time to get in your cardio workouts. Whatever activity you choose to do, there are 3 things to look for in order to credit it as exercise: increased heart rate, increased rate and depth of breath, and perspiration. That's right, you need to sweat, breathe hard, and get your heart pumping, and yes, all 3 together are essential. An activity doesn't cross over into the exercise range until all three of these are accomplished for a prolonged period of time on a regular basis. The ideal goal is to exercise 3 to 5 times a week for 30 to 60 minutes. This is what is needed to achieve the changes in your body, such as maintaining a healthy body composition, i.e. fat reduction, improved cholesterol numbers, lower blood pressure, and improved blood sugar readings. If you don't challenge your body, and if you don't do it on a regular basis, then your body doesn't see any reason to create changes internally to make the challenge easier, which means minimal physical improvement. For those of you who saw the previously mentioned goal of exercising 3 to 5 times per week for 30 to 60 minutes and freaked out a little bit, take a moment to calm yourself. As stated before, this is the ultimate and ideal goal for the lifestyle of being healthy, not the starting point. The reason why most people struggle to incorporate exercise into their lifestyle is because they start too big with the ultimate goal first. Starting with an initial goal that will add 1.5 to 5 hours to your weekly time commitments is very unreasonable for most. This leads to frustration due to never achieving your goal and an eventual reduction in your exercise commitment until it has dwindled back down to nothing. This defeat will be the sticking point for most, justifying the argument of not trying again because you'll never be able to find that much time and will just fail again. Instead, let's try the reverse approach. Starting small and building up to the ultimate goal is usually better and easier. This will allow you to achieve more success by meeting smaller incremental goals while building up time commitment as well. Something, no matter how little, is better than no exercise at all. When setting your initial goals, be realistic with the expectations. Whatever you start with should be at least a step more than what you are currently doing. Remember, while we may not be at the ultimate goal yet, building on successes is easier than battling through failures. Even if your goal is as small as 5 minutes, go for it. Sometimes the hardest part of starting an exercise commitment is just that, starting. Getting in the habit of getting ready to exercise and then just doing a small amount is still a step in the right direction. Don't underestimate the power of just showing up. Change your clothes, go outside, get to the gym, or take your kid to the park. Just showing up and getting there is often the only win we need to start doing more. Like we said about momentum, you will find yourself getting in more than 5 minutes once you've gone through the effort to get there. Once you've started with some exercise, the next step is setting smaller incremental goals to get to our ultimate goal of 3 to 5 times per week for 30 to 60 minutes. Don't get caught up with all the different reports and articles that go back and forth about when is the best time to work out. Unless you are an athlete and training for competition is your job, it doesn't matter. Find a time that works for you to stay consistent and build from there. One of the easiest things that I've done for increasing my time if it is short of the 30 to 60 minute range is increasing my time by at least 1 minute each time I exercised. This eliminates the issue of finding time for large increases in the time commitment for your schedule, and the 1 minute increase is much easier to motivate yourself to complete with less mental block about how much more you have to add today. The same idea goes for increasing the number of days per week that you are exercising. Start with just 1 additional day. Once you feel solid with your routine, you can add again if needed. Now let's talk about excuses. I don't have time. I don't have anything to use. I'm too tired. These are some very common excuses, and there are many others. I have worked with people in a variety of life situations, and the key difference between those who saw success and those who didn't has never come down to whose life was simpler. The key to this and all changes in life is you. If you want to make a change, make it a priority and take the time to find a way to do it. Remember, exercise is really just something that increases the heart rate, increases rate and depth of breath, and causes you to sweat. It does not mean having to take time from your family. If playing with the kids gets all 3 of these met for you, then go for it. If you find yourself at a function for the kids every night sitting around before it starts, go for a walk. hit some stairs, or if it is a sports activity, help out with the team. Trust me, the coaches appreciate the additional help. If you travel a lot, get familiar with bodyweight exercises you can do in your hotel room, go for a walk, or use the stairs to get a workout. If you need help putting together a workout for these situations, check out my online coaching tools at www.johnwinters.fitness. Also, for travel, many gyms allow access to all of their clubs with the right membership. Identify the best deal for where you visit and get signed up. Many times we are tired from a day of work due to the mental stress load, not because of anything physical. However, our bodies react to stress with the same response, by releasing specific hormones into the body. It doesn't matter if your life is being physically threatened and you have to run away or fight off an aggressor, or have to deal with major deadlines at work, busy traffic, or family needs at home. Your body responds the same way on a hormonal level. The difference is that in the first set of stressors, a physical action was a required outcome, while in the second set, there was not. When your body is chronically under the stress response with no physical outlet to help rebalance the released hormones, fatigue often sets in. Again, if the idea of doing 30 to 60 minutes of exercise isn't realistic, start small. And going back to what we discussed about momentum, oftentimes the smallest changes can be what start the ball rolling on your new habits. Even just going through the habit of changing into your workout clothes and going out the door is a huge start. Remember, there is nothing wrong with doing 5 minutes to start out, and as you feel better, you can increase it little by little. Remember, something is always better than nothing, and it is better to start small and build up with whatever your chosen exercise may be than to aim high and fail so much it destroys your motivation. Overcoming obstacles. There are a few common hurdles to keeping exercise as a habit. Some weeks, it can feel like all the forces of the universe are plotting to keep you from your workouts. After weeks like this, it can be all too easy to throw in the towel and give up. Remember, the whole idea behind consistent persistence is that it doesn't matter how many roadblocks or obstacles get thrown your way, as long as we persist in our pursuit of consistent exercise, change in both our habits and our health will come. Learn from the bad weeks and identify what you can do better the following week to be successful there. Be wary of the pitfall of gimme time. When unexpected time demands arise, it is often easy to view our workout time as gimme time. I'm sure you've fallen victim to it, just like I have. So many tasks are piling up that we look at that workout time on the calendar and say, if I skip my workout, that will give me an extra hour to do this other task. The problem is that after we do it once, it gets easier to do it again. Down the line, we find ourselves with no more workout times and a habit undone. Once out of the clutches of gimme time, refocus and persist in the workout time you had while identifying what could be done differently. For many, this will look like setting additional boundaries for yourself, i.e., saying no to task requests, when the only way to have time for it is compromising your health time. It can be difficult to reestablish boundaries once you and those around you have gotten used to you always saying yes. You may need to have important conversations with friends, family, and even at work, explaining that due to concerns for your health, you will now be making time for yourself and exercise a priority. Ask them for help with things around the house, whether it be chores, transporting kids to school and other activities, or even a change in how family time is spent so everyone is more active. Often, things at work that come across as urgent could really be dealt with tomorrow. I understand there will often be deadlines that have to be met that will take priority. Part of building a healthy lifestyle that allows for exercise and activity is relearning how to prioritize tasks both at work and home to make room in your schedule. This is why starting small and building up is often easier than trying to completely flip your schedule with a new 2 to 3 hours of time added throughout the week. That often results in failure simply because pulling that much extra time out of nowhere is unrealistic. Start small, Celebrate your successes and build from there. For others, it may mean adapting to another activity when our usual one is inaccessible, whether it be from seasons changing, a change in work schedule, or having to take kids to new practices and events. Walking around the fields or even helping with the team are great ways to still be active while supporting your child's interests. Sometimes, having to make the shift from outdoor exercise and activity to finding something inside when the seasons change is a big cause for many to fall out of the habit of exercising regularly. Put together a plan of what your backup exercise or activity can be in these different scenarios to allow you to keep the habit and, more importantly, the time allotted in your schedule. Even something as simple as using a step to step up and down for 20 to 30 minutes inside while watching your favorite show can be an effective backup plan when going outside for a walk is no longer feasible. Remember, the best time of day to work out is the time that you can consistently make it happen. Whatever the challenge, consistent persistence is what brings about the change in lifestyle and health that we all seek. Healthy nutrition, a lifestyle, not a diet. Looking at nutrition plays such an important role in health because simply, we truly are what we eat. The food we eat provides the energy our body uses along with the nutrients to make new cells. Our body also uses the nutrients and energy from our food to support thinking, attention and focus, as well as our movement and metabolism each day and, therefore, weight management for either gaining or losing fat as well as sustaining muscle. Because of this, the biggest factor that stands between most of us and better health is our overconsumption of processed foods. Most of us have become overly dependent upon these foods out of convenience. Unfortunately, these processed foods have an extremely high level of calories for the little to no nutrient content they possess, while containing a cocktail of chemicals that your body has no use for. Your body has to waste what little nutrients you do get from the food on detoxification instead of energy production, instead of having nutrients and energy available for enough energy to get through the day and still feel like doing something active. Also, if the body is using nutrients for detoxification, you may find it harder to maintain focus or even stay awake when doing mentally demanding tasks. These foods are very easy to overconsume because our bodies never reach the nutrient balance they need to feel satisfied, and our bodies are chemically designed to stimulate cravings for more. Have you ever wondered why you continue to feel so exhausted despite getting enough sleep? It's because your body doesn't have the nutrient support it needs to produce energy. In addition, most processed foods come with additional added and refined sugar sources. Aside from the extra calories that this adds to your foods, this impacts your body's ability to maintain a healthy weight and body fat from a metabolic standpoint through blood sugar regulation and insulin. Insulin is a naturally occurring hormone produced by your pancreas to help regulate blood sugar levels. Elevated blood sugar levels are harmful to the body, so when your blood sugar is elevated from having something like a donut or a candy bar, insulin is released to bring it back to optimal levels. Unfortunately, our body's physiology hasn't caught up yet with the science that allows heavy refinement and processing to put a very concentrated amount of sugar in our processed foods. This sugar is so simple that not much is needed for it to be directly absorbed from your digestive system into the bloodstream. This causes quick and extreme rises in your blood sugar, stimulating insulin release. Insulin lowers blood sugar levels because it signals all your cells to start taking and storing the extra sugar. Sugar, in order to be stored, has to be changed into fat, which, when the body is stimulated on a high and regular basis, leads to extra fat storage and weight gain. Because insulin stimulates your cells to store, your body's ability to burn fat becomes greatly diminished, even when in a caloric deficit. This is one of the primary reasons so many struggle with weight loss even when they are following their caloric recommendations. In order to provide your body with the highest level of nutrient support from your food, stick with the basic idea that if you or someone else could not go out into nature and find this food, it is probably best not to eat it. Think as little change as possible from field to plate. sticking with natural meats, not processed. Fruits, vegetables, and some starches in their natural state will be the best balance for you. Ideally, at any given meal, produce should make up at least 50% of the volume for the meal. This will provide you with a dense level of nutrients with a lower level of calories, which will allow you to still be full without overdoing your food intake. If you feel you need additional snacks, these should primarily be produce-based as well. Most of us make the mistake of eating processed snacks devoid of nutrients but packed with calories, causing us to easily exceed our caloric needs for the day. Fruits are a great go-to for snacking as they are still easy to grab and go, like many of the packaged snack items, but you will get a greater amount of nutrients and fiber to help your body. If you feel like fruit isn't enough, you probably need some protein with it, not more carbohydrates from processed items. Single serving cheeses, around 1/4 cup of nuts, or a plain yogurt to have with your fruit are some great protein-based snacks that are still relatively convenient. More of these types of snacks can be bought already pre-measured and put together in a convenient package if measuring out the different foods seems to add too much time to make the healthy option viable. Outside of the chemically stimulated cravings from the processed foods, it is natural to have cravings for specific flavor profiles like sweet, salty, savory, etc. This is often your body requesting specific nutrients associated with this flavor profile, i.e., sweet for berries rich in powerful antioxidants. If we instead choose something processed with no nutritional value, we are stuck with our body still needing the nourishment, but having easily consumed 200 or more calories. This can leave us with the craving still intact as our body still needs the nutrients, but with fewer calories available before we go over the number of calories we should be consuming for weight maintenance. When looking for something sweet, fruits are always a good go-to, but if you're looking for something a little sweeter, I would recommend looking up some fruit compote recipes. Fruit compote involves baking the fruit, which cooks down and concentrates the sweetness without adding additional calories. For salty foods, nuts, some cheeses in moderation, or edamame are some healthier go-to options. For savory, protein like most meats, some mushroom dishes, just be careful of the amount of cream used in some recipes, and other vegetarian options now on the market can help with this type of craving. For richer, fatty type cravings, olive oil, some types of hummus, avocado, or coconut oil based fat sources are a good go-to option. If using animal fat sources for that fatty craving, be mindful of how it was raised. Organic or ideally grass-fed free range is best as animals raised in this environment have better lipid cholesterol profiles than conventionally raised. Still, be mindful of how much of any fat source you have, as fattier foods have much higher caloric count when concerned with weight management. Just like with exercise, I know this ultimate goal will take some time to build up to as well. The way to build more produce into your eating or reduce the amount of processed foods is to target each snack or meal that you have in a day one at a time. For example, you could start with dinner first, making it at least half produce. Once your first meal targeted is mastered, move to the next. When making this transition, also remember that your protein is only 1/4 of the plate, and starch, if you have it, is 1/4 of the plate as well. So, even though you are adding produce, you most likely will be reducing amounts of other foods you have been eating. As you take this next step towards better health and nutrition, it is okay to start with your favorite and most comfortable produce items. However, with the amount you're working up to, you may find it beneficial to start branching out to get a better variety of flavors in order to reduce the chance of boredom with your food. Also, try different preparation methods with your foods to give an even greater amount of variety. When working to expand variety, I recommend trying one new recipe a week, ideally with a food you haven't had. When trying new foods, follow what I call the 3 rules of 3. 3 different cooking methods, i.e. baked, sautéed, grilled. 3 different blends of spices, i.e. Italian, Southwestern, Asian. 3 bites at least of each new attempt before deciding whether or not you like it. At worst, you had something that you didn't like that week, but you won't be able to say that you were bored with your meals. At best, you find a new recipe to add to your rotation to keep a broader selection of meal options as you go forward. When setting out to make the transition of increasing produce and decreasing processed food into your lifestyle, the two key words to remember are planning and preparation. The main reason we find ourselves going back to processed foods at home or simply going to restaurants is because we haven't taken the time to have healthy foods more available and ready to go at home. Preparing and planning your meals is vital to your success, and as I have often found, that convenient meal that I went out to get has often taken more time than it would take to fix some of my quick, healthy meal options if I had properly made sure the ingredients were already at home. The first step for this is getting to the grocery store on a regular basis. Due to increasing the amount of produce, this will most likely mean going at least once a week. It is important to keep your kitchen stocked with only the foods we should be eating, while keeping any undesirable foods out of the house. It is very important to keep your home as a sanctuary of health instead of a temple of temptation. We face plenty of temptations outside of the home, whether it is at work, out with friends, or other social functions. Knowing that at home you can make a healthy, sound decision helps to reduce great amounts of stress when trying to decide on your meals other places. When making your grocery list, it is important to have an idea of what meals you will be fixing for the week. This will allow you to be sure you have all the ingredients needed before the moment you're trying to fix something, and avoid finding out something is missing and end up at the drive-thru. Once you have everything you need for the week, it is a good idea to start any pre-meal preparation needed for your foods to be ready to fix. This includes washing and cutting your vegetables and fruits so they can easily be grabbed on the go or more easily thrown in with a meal. Also, cutting and marinating or seasoning any meat you will need is helpful as well. Preparing these items en masse on a day when you have the time will help to reduce the time needed for individual meal preparation and make your fruits and vegetables more easily accessible for quick snacks as well. The easiest way to do this is to make the preparation part of the shopping routine, but you can always schedule another time for it if that fits your needs. If you find that it is hard to keep your produce for a full week, you can also use frozen items or freeze them yourself. Also, if you are able, you can make a secondary produce grab at the store during the week. If you do, I recommend just making it a quick stop on the way home after work, the gym, or wherever else may take you close to a store on the way. Remember, this is just meant to be a quick grab of any produce needed to get you through the rest of the week, not a browsing time through the entire store. You can also take advantage of some of the online ordering stores now available, so all you have to do is pick it up when you get there. When forced to eat out of the house for work or other social functions with family and friends, it is most likely difficult to avoid processed foods. Also, fruits and vegetables may or may not be present. First, if you are keeping your foods at home in order, you have less reason to worry about these incidents as long as they are infrequent. For any restaurant meal, it never hurts to ask about substituting sides to get the amount of produce you need, and you may need to cut down the meat a little bit to keep within appropriate proportions. Ideally 3 to 6 ounces, which is the size of 1 or 2 decks of playing cards. For functions that are home with friends and family, you can ask to host the event if you are willing. This may give you greater control over what is served. If it is going to be someone else's house, ask if you can bring anything. This will allow you to bring in either more produce to assure you can get what you need, or provide a healthier, less processed side or main dish to give you a safe option. Aside from trying to control what options are present at social functions, a key thing to still remember is portion control. Work to avoid milling around where the food is, as this may lead to unconscious nibbling and overconsumption of food without realizing it. Dish yourself what you want and take it somewhere else to eat. Also, remember to monitor how many plates or high-calorie drinks you have had as well. Oftentimes at work or other non-food related social gatherings, someone will have something to share with everyone. This is probably most prevalent around the holidays when everyone has goodies to share. Remember, you are not required to take a full, equal portion if you don't want that much of what is offered, if you even have anything at all. Sweets and treats, just like what we tell our kids about drugs, are something you can say no to eating. Sometimes we get sucked into eating foods we didn't intend to have due to guilt in order to avoid offending someone else or the peer pressure of everyone else having some. It is okay to politely say no thank you. You can simply explain the changes you are making in your lifestyle. Most people who are going to the effort to share something with you will usually be supportive of the lifestyle choices you are making for yourself as well. An important thing to remember is that a slip-up or food trap that catches you once in a while is not going to kill you. It's okay for unhealthy food choice occurrences to happen on occasion. More importantly, to make healthy eating a lifestyle, you have to learn balance. I don't like the concept of a cheat meal or day, as it puts too much negative energy into what you choose to have. However, allowing yourself meals that you still enjoy but are from healthy, less processed sources and in proper portions will eliminate feelings of being deprived that most short-term, rapid weight loss diets cause. The key is that it is not becoming a regular habit every week or day. Also, it is important not to stress when these come up. It is going to do more harm than good if you beat yourself up trying to gain control of an event you have no business being in charge of, than to just go with the flow and do the best you can in the situation. On this note, regardless of the food and why we are eating it, an important thing to be aware of is the energy we are putting into the food we eat. Much like positive and negative self-talk, the positive or negative energy we put into a meal can have huge effects on our well-being. Think about your relationship with food. How many times have you had something to eat while beating yourself up about it the whole time? It's hard for the body to feel good and energized by something we trashed ourselves about. If instead you own it and enjoy it, your body will more than likely take on a better charge from it. The same goes the other way when eating something that should be healthy. If you're putting so much anger into it because you'd rather have something else, it diminishes the benefits it will give you. As you expand your successes on healthy eating, there will be even less reason to feel bad about a little fun. I do recommend going organic with your foods as much as possible. This will help to eliminate even more toxic chemicals from your diet and give you better nutrient support from your foods as well. In addition, getting free-range or cage-free animal products are best. This is due to the reduced chemical exposure, and these products have a better level of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acid balance, which is good for your cholesterol. These animal products are also cleaner and safer to eat than conventional products because they have a lower incidence of acid-resistant bacteria like E. coli. An often ignored component of healthy nutrition is proper hydration. The minimum recommended amount of water is 64 ounces a day, which is about 8 cups or 2 liters. Keep in mind, 64 ounces is the low minimum. The typical recommendation is to take your weight in pounds and divide the number in half. That number is the amount of ounces per day you need. For example, if you weighed 150 pounds, half that number would be 75. So your daily water intake would be 75 ounces. I have found that many people don't even reach this level with other fluids they are drinking. Underhydrating puts more stress on the body as it has a harder time flushing toxins and maintaining proper electrolyte balances. This may sound counterintuitive, but the less water you drink, the more your body will retain to try and keep its fluids in balance. However, if you provide enough water on a regular basis, your body sees less reason to hold on to it due to the regular supply. In addition, water is a vital component in the chemical process of fat burning. So, running day to day without enough water can limit your fat burning potential. If you're trying to change your weight, again, water is needed to burn fat, but also needed to build muscle. Add 8 to 16 ounces per day. During any workouts, add another 8 to 16 ounces, and anytime outside, another 8 ounces per hour spent outdoors, potentially more depending upon heat and humidity. I want to emphasize that the recommendation is for just water. Drinking beverages that are either high in sugar or diet drinks with unwanted chemicals do not help with hydration because they are already liquids in solution. Your body uses water to keep solutes your body naturally needs and produces, such as vitamins and minerals and waste products in appropriate concentrations. Most of these other fluid sources will make your body acidic and off balance. Your body will need more fluids to flush the unwanted chemicals from most processed beverages. Also, when we have liquids with additional calories consumed with a meal, it does not impact our body's satiety or feeling of fullness, effectively making all beverage calories truly extra when it comes to keeping hunger at bay. If you do have juices, make sure they are truly 100% juice and should be taken in small servings. The most ideal would be for these to be freshly squeezed and definitely not from concentrate or contain high amounts of added sugars. If you do have them without food, it should be slowly consumed over a long period of time, because unlike having an actual whole fruit for a snack, juices retain very little of the natural fiber you would have gotten from eating it whole. Even though a cup of juice may have close to the same amount of calories, without the fiber, the juice can cause a sugar overload, resulting in an unwanted insulin response. By drinking the juice more slowly, it spreads out the blood sugar response that reduces the need for insulin. If you want to reduce the sugar load and are mainly looking for flavor, instead of plain water, mixing a small amount of juice with water can help tremendously without adding a huge calorie amount. You can also try using some fruit slices or a pinch of sea salt or Himalayan pink salt to help with flavor and water utilization. Increasing your water is definitely something to do slowly to allow your body the chance to adjust. I recommend increasing 8 ounces or less to your per day total. Work with this for 1 to 2 weeks, then if you're still not at the 64-ounce level, try to increase again by the same level and repeat every 1 to 2 weeks until you have achieved the desired number of ounces. By gradually increasing your water intake, your body will be able to adjust to it easier and you will have less of an issue with excessive bathroom needs. However, please keep in mind that you should be going to the bathroom regularly to allow your body to remove toxins. To achieve 64 ounces of water a day, you will most likely need to keep a container with you to drink throughout the day. This will be easier than trying to hammer down a number of glasses of water anytime you get near a water source. Also, if it is near you, then you are going to be more mindful of it as opposed to when it's in the fridge or at the sink that you only go near a handful of times per day. I do caution against leaving any plastic containers in the car. This can often result in unwanted chemicals being released into the water and also can result in being too hot during the summer months for you to want to drink again, defeating the purpose. If you like your water colder, I suggest either using ice or freezing some of the water in your container or using an insulated reusable bottle. Just be sure your container can be frozen and not to overfill it prior to freezing to avoid damage to the container or overflowing of ice so you can't seal it anymore. However you do it is fine as long as you are getting enough water throughout the day. Sleep to your health. Another vital component of health that often goes overlooked is sleep. Very few of us get the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. Sleep is important because it is when your body does the most regenerating of cells. When this process gets interrupted, your body will begin its day in a state of stress, regardless of how relaxing or demanding your day is. As you can imagine, starting your day already physiologically under stress has the potential to lead to a continuous buildup for the rest of the day and being less able to handle the stressors that occur. Some basic tips for getting better sleep are avoiding caffeine, getting some sunlight exposure during the day, and avoiding screen activities within at least an hour before bed, such as TV, computers, and even phones. Doing this will help to keep your physiological sleep cycles better aligned for your bedtime. There are some things that will also help on a psychological level. Avoid doing wakeful activities while in bed. If you train your body and mind to be awake while you are in bed during the day, then it will remember it at night even when you are trying to sleep. Setting up a bedtime routine can also be very helpful. Most of us have routines to get ready for work, for when we get home, and many other things we do during the day. These routines help to prepare your mind and body for what is coming and what will be expected of it. However, many people expect to be able to stop whatever they are doing, jump into bed, and immediately be able to sleep, or after dozing off for a bit in the living room, be able to get up and move to the bed without impacting the rest of the night. This is a very unrealistic expectation. Setting up a bedtime routine can help you relax and be better prepared for sleeping. This routine can be as short or as long as you feel it needs to be, but the key is that you are doing the same thing in the same order. For example, brushing your teeth, face wash or other skincare, bathroom, stretches, reading, ideally in print, not screen time, lights out, eyes closed for sleep. Whatever you wish to put in your routine is up to you. It can be as elaborate or as simple as you wish, but when done consistently, this will help your body and mind to relate this routine with sleep. These types of routines can be very helpful for those whose work schedules vary or those who travel regularly for work. Another common issue for sleep can be stress. This usually takes the form of either things we are stressing over that prevent us from getting to sleep, or things that may wake us up in the middle of the night that we don't want to forget. Keeping a journal can be helpful for either of these causes. If you find yourself constantly stewing about your day while lying in bed trying to sleep, try writing everything out that is stuck in your head. It doesn't matter what form this takes, be it venting, listing, or reviewing your day. The idea is to get everything out and clear your mind by releasing it into the journal. You can also use a journal for those things that pop into your head and you don't want to forget. Simply keep something to write with and on by your bed. Then, whenever something comes up, write it down. This way, it is there for you in the morning when you are well rested to properly look at and address the issue. If the issue is simply allotting proper time for sleep, then just like with our other goals, start adding time to your sleep little by little. This can be done by adding more time in the morning, or a little bit in both the morning and evening, or just time in the evening. The most likely time that people are able to add is the evening, as most of us are probably already pushing our available morning time to the limit. By adding a small amount of time each week, it makes it easier to adjust your evenings to better accommodate the time challenge. I recommend first identifying non-essential time takers from your evening. The biggest for most of us is the TV. I recommend making the investment in a streaming service or recording device if watching your favorite shows is something you are not willing to let go of. This will allow you a greater level of freedom and control when planning your schedule. Other similar things that are not productively adding to your well-being should be assessed. See how much time you are really spending on it and see if there is a better middle ground that allows more sleep and still do some of those activities. Things where you find yourself battling mindless snacking are a great place to start. It will give you more time for sleep and fewer struggles with late night snacking. This is also a great way to help you find time for your exercise and meal prep too. Another thing to be aware of is revenge procrastination. This is when we purposely procrastinate on getting to bed as a revenge against a long or hard day at work that allowed little or no leisure. This is a dangerous pitfall if not addressed, as it can turn into hours of lost sleep each night. Plan your leisure activities for each night, but stick to the time you allotted. If you only plan for one episode to watch, then no matter how shocking of a cliffhanger it ended with, don't hit continue watching. Now that we have discussed nutrition, hydration, and sleep, I would like to address these and their impact on our stress thresholds. Just like your stamina and strength, we also have a limit on how much stress we can handle before we give out. If you haven't felt it, you've more than likely seen it. Something inconsequential or mundane happens and all of a sudden we break down. Whether it be tears or rage, there is nothing left to hold back the raw emotions we've been keeping in check. It doesn't matter if it's mental or physical stress, it all stacks together, building up and testing the limits of our stress tolerance. Poor sleep and fatigue, dehydration, and undernourishment are all stressors. So when you wake up from a night with very little sleep, dehydrated from not getting enough water the day before, and lacking the proper levels of nutrients to support healthy and proper body functions, you are starting your day with 3 very major stressors stacked up against that threshold. This limits the number of other stressors you can handle for the day. Getting proper rest, hydration, and nourishment can greatly improve not just your health, but just how difficult the day may seem. Lifestyle changes and family. Now, a lot of you may be saying to yourselves, wow, this would be easy if I didn't have to get my family on board. First off, you're right. Making lifestyle changes is always easier when they have no impact or involvement with someone else. However, none of the lifestyle changes mentioned in this book are contraindicated for most of the population. The only people who may have more difficulty are those who are handicapped or have major dietary restrictions due to health conditions. Most people would agree that the changes mentioned in this book are beneficial for everybody. The key thing when trying to make a lifestyle change as part of a family household is communication. If no one else is aware of the changes you are trying to make, or even the reasons for making them, you will find yourself dealing with multiple roadblocks and temptations leading you astray, and no support or accountability to help you be successful when these do come up. On the other hand, if everyone is aware of the healthy changes you are trying to make, it will be easier to gain support for food purchasing and preparation as well as time for activity. One of the most common obstacles I hear people state is their kids. Whether it's finding time for exercise or making nutritional changes, people often use their kids as the reason for either not attempting or giving up on making healthier choices for their lives. As mentioned previously, kids don't have to be separated from you in order for you to exercise. You can do things with them like biking, walking, or other games as long as you get the increased heart rate, increased rate and depth of breath, and sweating during the activity. Again, if your kids have a lot of programs they are involved in, sneak in a walk before the events, or if it is a sport activity, find a way to help the team during practices to keep you moving. Keeping a more active lifestyle, especially with the kids involved, sets up a good model for your kids to refer to as an example when they grow up. When it comes to making nutritional changes and your kids, I have to say one thing before we move on. Kids don't need junk food. I've had multiple parents use the excuse of keeping junk in the house because their kids need it. I have yet to find a reputable source that states that it is okay for kids to have things like candy, chips, fast food, desserts, etc. on a regular basis. Trying to stick to the plan of limiting your intake of processed foods is extremely difficult if you continue to allow your home to be a temple of temptation instead of a sanctuary of health, just because of what is kept around for the kids. Treat foods are no longer treats if they are a regular staple of one's food intake. Just like you, these foods should be an occasional treat for kids. The eating habits set down for us as children often lay the groundwork for our nutritional choices as adults. If you want your kids to grow up into healthy adults, give them the habits for success at an early age. As I mentioned earlier in this book, always make the focus on being healthy when talking to and working with your kids on these changes. Let them help to make some of the choices for what goals to pick, whether it be how you're going to be active or exercise as a family, what vegetables they want with their meals, or letting them help choose new recipes to try out. The more you get their involvement in the decision-making for goals, the more buy-in and support they will have for you later. Making some of these changes after the family has gotten used to a less healthy lifestyle is definitely going to be a process. When dealing with kids and making nutritional changes and even activity changes, the emphasis should always be on health and feeling better. I strongly caution parents about using terms like diet, weight loss, or other negative self-talk about how we look and feel about ourselves. Anytime I have clients come in as a family, I avoid talking about losing weight and fat, except in the most extreme of cases. Our children do pick up on our motivations and reasons for change and are always listening. Emphasize that the changes you are making are personal for your health, so you can do more active things together. Never that you're losing weight because of what others think, to look better, or to be more attractive. It is only about being healthy. Again, Setting an appropriate modeling plan for our kids is beneficial both for them and us. As you move forward on improving the family's exercise level and nutrition, it is okay to do a step-by-step approach as discussed previously in other sections. The key will be to get everyone on board for each incremental goal to achieve ultimate success. It is often helpful to let others in your family have input on what the next step to pursue will be. This helps to get more ownership and buy-in from everyone involved. Another important aspect of goal setting is letting other people know about your intentions. A big mistake that most of us make is keeping our goals to ourselves. If you are the only one who knows you are trying to eat healthy, you will face a greater number of temptations simply because no one else knows not to tempt you. Also, it makes it easier to give in to these temptations because you are the only one to hold yourself accountable and no one is ready to support you. We often do this in order to avoid things like guilt or the embarrassment of letting the people down that we told. Remember, the only person ever truly let down when you back down from a goal is yourself. However, people who let their family and friends know about their goals usually have a higher level of success. While yes, a part of this is due to avoiding the public guilt or embarrassment of not following through with your goal, the other part is having the additional support there when you need it in those moments of temptation. When you are letting the people around you know about your goals and are asking them for support, it is important to have a conversation with them about what you desire their support to look like. Another common reason people don't let their family and friends know about their goals is because the support they end up getting can be more frustrating and annoying than actually helpful. This is most often due to the lack of your family and friends knowing what you mean by support. So be sure to be completely clear with exactly what you want and don't want from each person as you begin your pursuits. I have found that in my years of working with clients, some really do want that no mercy drill sergeant who will show no remorse in making them work and hold them accountable to what they do on their own for both exercise and their nutrition tracking, while others want caring and kind support that will help them assess better courses of action when they slip up and truly listen to what is holding them back. Think about what it is you actually need from your family and friends for support as a whole, and what you need individually from those closest to you. An even better form of support is having someone making the change with you. This allows you to have support from someone going through similar challenges as you are, and someone else to help brainstorm on ways to overcome these challenges. Now, oftentimes with family and friends, you will find that only so many changes will be done by others, regardless of the changes you are making. One of the most frustrating challenges I have in this work of helping people is the understanding that in order for healing to occur, the patient has to be willing to be healed. Sometimes all you can do is continue with your healthy changes and continue to set the example for those around you while letting them know you're there to help them when they are ready. Be careful that their resistance to change doesn't impact your choices for staying healthy. Sometimes it's important to pick your battles. If you know certain meals will never be close to healthy with them, then the ones you have without them better be on point. If you know certain days won't work for fitting in a workout, don't plan on including those days. Plan and work around it to be successful. Closing. I now offer to you the opportunity to reframe your lifestyle, to have the health and well-being you've always wanted. Take the time to make your plan of success and start setting your step-by-step goals. The next step is to start moving forward with your goals and creating change in your life. Remember, no step forward is too small to let go of or give up on, no matter what challenge or obstacle you may face. By staying consistent in the persistent pursuit of your goals in health or other areas of your life, you can accomplish anything. I know, as we have discussed in most sections of this book, that time is usually the biggest hurdle you face when making these changes to improve your health. I hope that you now see that starting small and building upon your successes will allow you to begin making time for and putting into action your personal health and wellness goals. Should you still find yourself uncertain of taking the time for your health now, I will leave you with a thought that I have heard from many clients. If I had known I was going to live this long, I would have taken my health more seriously. Acknowledgements. I would like to thank my wife, Alicia, for her continuous support in my career and building my business and standing by my side no matter how rough the journey has been. Love isn't strong enough a word to express my feelings for you. To my parents, who have put almost as much blood, sweat, and tears into building my business as I have, who ignited my passion for fitness at an early age and led by example of what a healthy lifestyle can look like while still having fun. My brother and business partner, who believed in me so much you invested in making my dream grow. I deeply appreciate each and every client that entrusted me with their health and fitness journey, and especially those who reached out when struggling with my own health issues and questioning whether I could keep working in this industry and sharing the impact I've had on your lives. That is the reason I became a personal trainer and is what drives me every day to make a positive impact on every person's health that walks through my doors or engages with me through other coaching tools. Thank you. Copyright 2022 by John Winters. First edition 2022. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced in any form or by any means, electronic or mechanical, including photocopying, recording, or any information browsing, storage, or retrieval system without permission in writing from the author. This book provides general information and discussions about health and related subjects. The information and other content provided in this book or in any linked materials are not intended and should not be considered or used as a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. This book does not constitute the practice of any medical, nursing, or other professional healthcare advice, diagnosis, or treatment. We cannot diagnose conditions, provide second opinions, or make specific treatment recommendations through this book or linked materials. If you or any other person has a medical concern, you should consult with your health care provider or seek other professional medical treatment immediately. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something that you have read in this book or in any linked materials. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, please call 911 or call for emergency medical help on the nearest telephone immediately. The end.